Alrighty, guys, welcome into the AfterSchrock. I'm going to give everyone a couple seconds to join up here. It's kind of funny. We have a new board, a new studio stuff happening here. We're actually going to be redesigning the studio. They're going to be doing some crazy stuff here with that as well. And, so we actually kind of inadvertently ended the show about 35 seconds earlier than we were supposed to. Whoops. So, hey, what do you got you can fill for 35 seconds? So then we did a tease for the AfterSchrock. So hopefully maybe some of you guys joined us from that. If you did, let us know that you heard that tease on KFAB and you decided, hey, I'm gonna tune into that. This sounds kind of funny, because boy, I have some stuff for you today, guys. All right. So on the surface, as a business owner, you try to make it look easy, right? You try to make it look smooth. You try to make it just happen and it's all easy and apple pie and everything is great. And underneath the surface, you're not paddling fast. You're kicking people, you're clawing at people, you're forcing people to get things done on a schedule, and no one is meeting expectations. So the new Lincoln Service Center we were supposed to be in there August 1st. And so we're already a week behind schedule. The reason we were a week behind schedule, well, there's a few things. It was a comedy of errors this week. So the first thing that happened was we have the front floor. The back floors are done, everything is done, but the front floor needed to be done. It's a showroom floor, so it gets a little bit of an extra zhuzhing, you know? It's got to be shiny and sparkly and everything else and look really good. We showed the flooring company what we had in our current Lincoln Service Center. We said, we like this. It looks like a marble tile. It's concrete, skim coat concrete with a diamond cut in it. It looks like tile, but it's not. It's just concrete, and it's stained to look kind of like marble, but it's not marble. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to put, what is it Apple uses? Marble from India for the floors of their stores. I'm not going to pay for Indian marble tiles. I'll certainly cut some concrete to look like it, though. So, let's do this. And so the front space in the new service center is 563 square feet. It's literally big enough to show off 6 computers, have 3 or 4 customers in there, and have some shelves for inventory and a front desk. Because that's really all that our service centers need now. Gone are the days when we needed a 2,000 square foot showroom to show off all the desktops and have them all set up, and here's the gaming rig, and here's this, and here's that. Over 20 years, we've kind of figured out what our customers want to see, and we've been able to refine that dramatically. So the new service center, they get in there, now it's just bare concrete, right? So it's the concrete pad is where we start. They bring in a grinder, throws concrete dust everywhere. They don't tarp anything off. So like the back room, the concrete dust just flies into the back. Our ceilings are all shot black, and all that concrete dust gets up in the air and it lands on top of the ductwork. So now there's like black with like a little kind of dust look, like it's been around for a few years on top, and you got to try to dust it off, but it's concrete dust. And concrete dust, if you try to just wipe it, will scratch. It's an abrasive. It's like sandpaper. It's concrete. So you have to actually like leave little Swiffers and swift, 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 and it picks it up and it holds it. Then you go outside and you shake, 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 and then swift, swift, swift. And yeah, it takes forever, right? So we're going through all this stuff to get this done, right? So they ground the floor. That was bad. They should have tarped it. They didn't tarp it. That was bad. Okay, it's done. We can't do anything about it, right? So then when they ground the floor down, apparently there is some flaw in the concrete. The way it was poured, either they used too much water or they dried it too fast or something, because when they poured it, it cracked along the grid line. Now, I'm not a construction guy, but those of you out there who do construction probably know what I'm talking about. So when they pour the concrete, it's poured like in a grid system. And so along the grids, it was cracked. And so basically the floor is cracked. And the guys are like, wow. So we got to fill the cracks. So they get some kind of epoxy and they go to fill the cracks. And as they're filling the cracks and they're scraping their scrapers over the cracks, the concrete edge on either side of the crack is disintegrating into powder. That's how, like, it's crumbling. The floor is crumbling. And we're like, what in the world is going on here? So they fill in all the cracks, and then they say, okay, we're going to have to use a different, and this is how all floors go sideways. We're going to have to use a different product, Mr. Schrock. But this product will look just like the other product. It'll look great. It's going to be awesome finish. You're going to love it. Here's some pictures of other showroom floors we've done with it. It'll hold up for a decade plus, has a 15-year warranty. Everything is awesome. All right, fine. So they put a layer down. And then apparently it wasn't hiding the cracks well enough, so they roughed up that layer and put another layer down on top, which was the correct application of the product. So 2 days later, the floor is supposed to be done. It's supposed to be cured and set and dried and ready to rock and roll. We bring the whole goof troop down. Like the lovely Kimberly comes, all three kids, because we didn't have a sitter, but hey, we got work to do. This is what owning a business is about, right? So we get everybody down there, and the floor is tacky. Like we're tracking it into the back room on our shoes. It was supposed to be dry 2 days ago. If it's not dry after 3 days, it ain't gonna dry. So, and it's literally peeling up off the floor. Like there's bubbles where it's like swollen up, like the gases coming out of it have caused a bubble, like a pizza bubble. And it dried that way. And we're like, the floor has bubbles in it. What in the world is going on? Now this was, let me get the date right. We were supposed to be open August 1st. This all happened. We were already behind schedule. This was August 6th when we saw this. And the rest of the construction guys came in and they looked at the floor and they said, "Oh, that floor looks pretty rough." Well, boys, our job today is to put a toilet in and put all the baseboard trim around. So they did. Great. So on the 6th, I called the floor guy. The floor guy's like, super duper sorry. We're going to get a guy in there to grind it down on the 7th. We're going to reapply a whole new, there's this other product. We're going to next day it in for you. It's actually a higher grade product than what you paid for. So, okay. But in the meantime, now we have to have the toilet removed again because you can't do the flooring around the toilet. You have to go right over the space where the toilet is. And the baseboard trim, the rubber that they put on the bottom of the walls, it all had to be peeled off because they already glued it on, and there's glue stuck to the back now, so you can't really match it up and glue it back on. So now we had to buy all new rubber trim too. So they came in on the 7th and the 8th, they ground it down, they applied the flooring on the evening of the 8th. I have not actually seen it myself yet because we didn't have a babysitter, and we're really, no, having the kids down there is not going to be conducive to what we need to do. So Friday I stayed home with the kids, and the lovely Kimberly went down and spent the entire day in the service center cleaning concrete dust, looking at the floor, and she said the floor looks amazing. It's awesome, but it's not smooth. Which it's like textured, and they said it's textured because the floor is going to crack over time. The concrete is bad underneath; it's going to crack more. So we have to hide that. The way we can hide that is using a rough surface floor. That's great, except how are we supposed to mop that? This is going to be one of those nightmares we live with for the next decade, and it's the floor. So anyway, that was fun. So we're dealing with that. So Tuesday I find out about that, and then a month ago we called Spectrum, and we said, Spectrum, we're moving to this new location. We want to make sure there's service in the building. Spectrum says, hey, no problem, Mr. Schrock. We got it going. Everything is great. We're gonna do a site survey. Oh, okay, site survey, great. You get your thing out and you look through a site survey. I don't know what that means, but okay, you do what you got to do. We're moving in on the 1st, and we need service in there with phones and internet. We get a call on the 6th saying, now we already knew we were a week behind schedule, so we pushed everything back to the 9th. All the utilities and everything got pushed back to the 9th. So we have an install date for Spectrum service for phones and internet. Spectrum is also owned by Charter, you might know them. Phones and internet are going in on the 9th, okay? So on Monday the 5th, we get a phone call from Spectrum Construction that says they need to lay some cable to get the building set up, and it's going to take up to 48 days to get that cable in. What? 48 days? You gotta be... Boop! 48... We're a computer repair company. We kind of need phones and internet to do our thing. Who else is wired to the building right now? Because that's kind of where we're at. And so we said, okay, just in case we can't find anybody else and we end up stuck in our current location with everything off the walls and nothing in there, it looks like a freaking cavern in there, maybe we're stuck there, right? So we say 48 days, okay? Go forward on construction, keep it moving. Meanwhile, we're going to call some other places and see if we can't get someone in there faster. So Tuesday, we call around. We got Allo. Allo is getting us all set up. It's going to be done by Friday the 16th, which ain't great, but it's faster than 48 days. And in the meantime, the developer has their own internet in the building, and they're going to drop us a temporary line so that we can get hooked up on their internet, so we at least have internet. We have company cell phones. We're going to be forwarding phone calls to cell phones for a week. Not ideal, but it gets the job done and gets us out of that other space that we're in so we can focus on getting our stuff set up and running. So we're going in there. We're getting in the space. Tuesday, my employees call me in the morning and say, Thor, phones and internet in the current Lincoln Service Center are down. This is Tuesday the 6th. We don't move till the 9th. And I'm like, what do you mean they're down? Well, they're down. Like, we'll call Spectrum. So they do. And they're like, Thor, they discontinued our service for a pending move. But they won't talk to us because apparently the only person on the account that's authorized to talk to anyone is named Craig. Craig is a former employee that we had that apparently somehow some salesperson back in the day at some point listed him as the primary contact on the account. So I call Spectrum. I am Thor Schrock. This is Schrock Innovations. It's not Craig Innovations. I need to get access to our Spectrum account so that I can find out why you discontinued our service. So we went through, they transferred me to all the departments. Answered all the security questions, gave them the PIN number off the bill, the tax ID number, all that. Finally, I got him removed, got me added, and I also added Addie in the Lincoln Service Center, so I have somebody on site that can call when there's a service problem. They don't have to bother me. So I call them, and they're like, yeah, we don't know why your service was discontinued, Mr. Schrock. You're not scheduled to move till the 9th. This makes no sense, but it was discontinued because you're moving. All right, now we found out it was down at 10 a.m. Through a comedy of errors and many hours on the phone. We got internet and phones back at 7 o'clock in the evening. So from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on was Tuesday the 6th, we had no phones or internet. I had staff standing around. Nobody could get anything. It'll be up in just a minute. It should just take 15 minutes. Just reboot your router again. Well, it turns out the construction people weren't talking to the service people, and the service people weren't talking to the construction people. So service had no idea there was a construction order pending, and construction had no idea service was getting moved on the 9th. But they have to do the construction. Obviously, the guy's going to show up on the 9th to hook up the service and find that there is no service there to hook up. What do you do? So during all these phone calls, it comes out that the construction delay that's going to take 48 days to fix, they have to lay 0.7 feet of cable. Not 7 feet. Not 47 feet. 0.7 feet. As in 7/10 of a foot of cable. 9 inches of cable is what's going to hold us up for 48 days. Got to feel loved and valued. We've been with Spectrum for 15 years, and that's what we got. And the only person who could get, so the services were discontinued. They couldn't recontinue or couldn't restore them because there was a pending service transfer order. They could restore them, but they'd have to cancel that order first, and I had to go to 3 different departments to get that canceled. Once they canceled that, then the next thing was, hey, we're going to charge you reconnection fees to reestablish your service. I'm like, the heck you are. So then I had to go through all the different people again, had to wait on hold for 40 minutes to talk to one specific person, the only person on the planet that could get our service reconnected without charging us a fee. So then I say, hey, is everything reconnected? Everything is back. We have our static IPs back. Yep, everything is back, Mr. Schrock. Have a great day. Sure enough, 7 o'clock it comes back online, except our router doesn't work. So now from 7 o'clock at night until 10 o'clock at night, we're tearing our whole network stack apart, trying to figure out what in the world is going on. This was working before they turned off the service. What changed? They restored our phones. The phones are working. They restored our internet. Our wired internet is working, but not the wired and the wireless were both down, but the phones were working, which makes no sense because it's an IP-based phone system. We found out eventually they did not give us back our static IPs. They just gave us a random IP address. And so once we reconfigured our routing equipment to use the random IP address, which of course is not a permanent solution because the random IP address can change at any time, which is why you get a static IP address. But that's a battle. We got to live with it for a week, guys, and then we'll be in our new space, right? Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's then just the little things like, I drove all the way down from Papillion. I got my drills and everything I needed, drove all the way down there. We did all the work, drove back home, took the batteries home to put them on the charger because I drained them all dead for the drills. Well, I forgot to put them on the charger. In fact, I forgot them beside the charger when I left the next morning and drove down to Lincoln. Got there to put monitors on the walls and had no batteries for my drills. Yep, I had to drive all the way back to Papillion, get my batteries, get the charger, and then, I was charging one in the truck as I'm driving because it has an AC outlet, and then when I got to Lincoln, I charged the rest of them up. But it was just, and I brought a charger with me that time. I'm like, I'm not making this mistake again. So it has been a trying week, guys. And so it's funny when people come into the new service center and it's empty and they look around like, oh, wow, and they took our signs down. Our signs are gone off the old building. They put them up on the new building, though, and they look really good. But so people pull up and it's like, I shudder to think how many people look and be like, Hey, I knew that Schrock place was going to fail eventually. It's only took them 11 years, you know. We didn't go out of business. We moved. We moved. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Richard, we're looking at Allo right now. It's a local Lincoln company, so I like it because they're local in Lincoln. You get a little bit more pull because they're not a huge conglomerate. They're going to really appreciate our business, and we'll be able to recommend customers to them in Lincoln based on our actual service experience. Now, so far, the guys at Allo are moving heaven and earth. I'm going to be fair about this. They're moving heaven and earth to get things done as rapidly as possible for us. With that said, on Thursday the 8th, we were told we will have internet in that building on Friday the 9th. So the Lovely Kimberly's working there Friday, and all the happy, awesome sales guys are gone, and they send in the short, fat Danny DeVito guy to talk to my wife. And Danny DeVito says, you ain't going to have internet in here till the 16th. And Kim was like, I want you to send back the guys that told me I'd have it on the 9th so they can tell me that. And he just looks at her and he's like, and I get this text from my wife. She goes, if one more man shrugs at me when I ask him something, I swear I'm going to put someone through this wall. I'm like, please don't, honey. We just had the walls done. Please don't. But yeah, it's been a frustrating couple weeks. But we've got our furniture now. We've got Lincoln got a new kitchen area. They're going to get a glug glug. We haven't had a water cooler in Lincoln because all the other service centers had water coolers and Lincoln just didn't have a place for it in the back. So now they're going to get a water cooler. They're super excited. The Lincoln has the original Schrock original from 1999 microwave. It's a microwave oven that's got a turn dial for the time. You turn it past the time you want, and you turn it back, and then it ticks, and it goes tick. It doesn't even ding anymore when it goes click. But it works, right? So this is the Schrock original 1999 microwave. We should probably take a picture of it and make it like bronze it or something. So I'm like, it's time we get a new microwave that actually has like buttons on it and stuff. So I go on Amazon. I'm going to buy the cheapest microwave I can, right? Because I mean, we don't use it for much. And so I get the cheapest one is actually this Amazon Basics microwave. So we get this Amazon Basics microwave, and apparently it's Alexa enabled. So you can actually do nothing with it. Like, what are you going to do with the microwave? Do you put your bag of popcorn in there like before you leave from work? Or in the morning, so that when you're on the way home, you can grab your phone and say, Alexa, I'm 2 minutes from home. Pop my popcorn. I mean, what are you going to do? You can add a minute of time to things. So like if you're busy, this actually is one thing that I thought could be good. If you're heating something up and you get distracted, because you're at work, and then you forget about it in the microwave, and you could say, Alexa, add 10 seconds of time to my I shouldn't say things like that because everyone's microwave is going to start up all of a sudden. Then there's safeties and everything involved, but you can add 10 seconds of time to heat something back up and stuff like that. But it's kind of funny. So we have an Alexa-enabled microwave of all the dumb things that you ever. It doesn't have a speaker or anything in it, and I don't think you can talk to it. I think you have to use an app on your phone or a Spot or an Echo or something, but it's Alexa-enabled. So we can put the microwave on the Wi-Fi now. So that's pretty awesome. Oh yes, the bench space is amazing. Lovely Kimberly is like so much bench space. There is so much bench space back there, guys. This is bench space for miles. The Lincoln Service Center was the first service center that we really designed in the modern Schrock era. We learned a lot in that design about how to place power outlets, where to place data outlets, how to construct the benches, how to construct the workflow. It was all just kind of figured out along the way. Then we built the Omaha Service Center where we took a lot of those lessons, and those lessons became like the way we do things. And there were still some things we could improve on. So then when we built the new Papillion Service Center, we incorporated all those lessons, and now we have a model now. Like, this is a 1,600 square foot Schrock Innovation Service Center that can service, as many as 40 computers at a time. This is what we want, okay? So now in Lincoln, we went from 25 computer capacity to almost, if we had to press it, we could go to 60 at a time, but 40 comfortably. And literally the back room is so big, if you're on one side of it, you have to raise your voice to talk to someone on the other side of it because there's so much space. It makes this giant, we had this, if you've ever been in the Lincoln Service Center, we had this big tech island in the middle of the room, and it took up like a quarter of the back room. It was a massive 8-foot by like 6-foot tech island. Had 3 or 4 computers on it that the technicians used. All their stuff, was just boom, huge. We took that same table and we dropped it in the middle of the new space, and it's like a postage stamp on the floor. I mean, it looks tiny. It looks nice, but it looks tiny. And so now, and the guys have a window in the back, which is nice. They can get some natural light back there. They don't turn yellow. All the lighting is LED and it's super bright. So like in the current service center, when we come in, everything was halogen 11 years ago. So you turn on the lights and you have to wait like 30 seconds or, excuse me, 30 minutes for the lights to like warm up and fully come to their full brightness. So if you have an employee rolling in the door at 5 minutes before open and he turns the lights on and there's a customer waiting out front, which there will be this morning because preventative maintenance checkups are on special, what you're going to find is, oh, the guy gets checked in with a dark room. It's great. Super professional. The new lights are all LED, they're all instant on, and we're actually getting compliments on the lighting now because the lighting that we use in there isn't that super harsh, nasty LED that like is a truck light, you can't look at it. Just, you don't look at it, it's a light bulb. I mean, you look at any light bulb and you're like, ow. But it doesn't draw your attention. It looks like a regular light. It lights like a regular light. This is the same lighting system that we used in the Papillion Service Center that works super well. So everything is LED, it's super bright, but not so bright that it's like hospital bright and you're getting reflections off surfaces and things like that. Just awesome. So give us, we're going to be in there Monday afternoon, guys, and you definitely bring your computers there for preventative maintenance. Don't take them to the old place because the old place will be, we'll have to move your computer basically. And the fewer computers that we move, the better. You're moving them one at a time. If we try to move them several at a time, things get jostled and bounced and moved, and we don't like that. So literally, we're dreading the moment we have to move people's computers because we know we're going to be moving them two at a time, seat belted into seats in vehicles because we're so paranoid about our customers' computers and making sure they don't get a scratch, they don't get banged around, that they're treated with the same respect that we would treat one of our rigs, and take them into the service center. Now, I say that with my swollen battery here. You didn't hear that during the show. My HP's battery is swelling inside the computer, and it's causing I have to use a mouse with it because I can't left or right click with my touchpad because the battery is swollen to the point where it's pressed both buttons, so I can't click anymore. So it's pretty problematic. It's actually starting to separate the casing. There's a screw on either side of the battery, and in the middle, there's a gap starting to open up from the battery swelling. So I've got a new battery arriving at the house today, and I'll be replacing my battery before this one erupts into flames and explodes. It is covered by the HP battery recall or whatever, but I have to send the unit in and be without it for 2 weeks. Conversely, a new battery is $99. Normally we charge an hour of labor to put it in, so this for anybody out there would be like a $200 repair. For $200, if I had a company like AfterSchrock that was willing to give me a loaner laptop and I'll send it away for 2 weeks, and AfterSchrock is willing to do all the shipping and receiving for me, so I don't have to stay home and wait for the FedEx guy, I would totally do that. But because this is a studio computer that I use every week to do this show, I kind of can't go 2 weeks without it, and a loaner laptop does not have the horsepower to do what I need to do on the radio, so I bought my battery, I'm replacing it myself, and I'm going to pay myself the labor cost. I don't know if I'll pay for it in pizza or something, I don't know. All right, so if any of you have questions, there's a couple things we didn't get to on the program today. Let's see. We talked about phishing emails. That was one thing I wanted to get out there. Drivers, okay. Should you update drivers? Should you do the driver updater thing? Driver updating is dangerous, not cool, shouldn't ever be done, especially automated driver updating. Any utility that promises to keep all of your drivers current and up to date is actually going to do way more harm than good. We have a customer who has an Asus laptop. His touchpad continually stops working. It's because he's continually installing a driver updater and updating his drivers, and his touchpad stops working. We get it into the shop, we reinstall the correct driver, it works great. We test it 6 ways from Sunday for days and days and days, and it works perfectly. He takes it home 2 weeks later, he's back in. Every time. Like clockwork. Every time. And it's to the point now where we're watching the application logs to see which driver updater is getting installed on the computer and then uninstalled before it comes back in, because we're like, it's got to be that. That's the only thing left. So researchers, the reason I'm bringing this up is there's an article today that says researchers find security flaws in 40 kernel drivers from 20 vendors. The kernel driver is like the motherboard driver, right? So this is like, everybody has kernel drivers. Everybody has chipset drivers that run their computer. Stuff that makes all your ports work and your USB work and your video cards work and everything else. You've got to have these. And there are updates that come out to these drivers from time to time for performance and security related reasons. So when those come out, Microsoft will download those to your computer automatically because these are from major vendors. So here's some of the names that have kernel drivers that currently have security flaws that are being patched. ASRock, Asus, BioStar, EVGA, Gigabyte, of course Huawei, Intel, Nvidia, Supermicro, Toshiba, Realtek, Microstar, MSI. So basically these are, and I didn't read the exhaustive list. Of course, AMD is on there too for their graphics chips. These are all companies that have drivers that have security flaws that need to be updated. Don't try to do these updates yourself, please. Windows will give you these driver updates as part of your monthly regular Windows update package, or if you want to come in as part of your maintenance checkup, we will make sure that all hardware updates available from Microsoft are installed on the computer for you. So that's something to keep in mind. I know that you're going to be hearing more about this in the news, that your computer's hardware could be, at risk. What should you do? And some consultant's going to be like, make sure you have the most recent drivers installed for your hardware in your computer. Like anybody knows how to do that, right? Okay, here's how you do that. If you want to know how to do it, if you have an HP computer, you go to support.hp.com. You enter the serial number for your computer. That's the easiest way. And it brings up your exact model. Because if you bring up the model number, there could be several submodels underneath that. Once that's all put together for you, then the next step is to download the drivers. So you don't really know what drivers you have right now. It doesn't hurt to reinstall drivers that are the same. So rather than trying to figure out if your drivers are all identical or not, just download new ones, right? You download the new drivers to your computer. So you're going to download the chipset driver and the USB 3.0 driver and the graphics driver and the audio driver and the LAN driver and the wireless driver, and then all the extra software that you used to have on that computer that you uninstalled over time because it was garbage, like the HP registration program. You're going to check for a BIOS update. Very important, actually, if you're on an Intel chip. If you're on an Intel processor and there's a BIOS update from your computer, good news is it will make your computer more secure. Bad news is it will slow your computer down by 20 to 40%. So that's why we don't install those at Schrock. We don't do BIOS updates unless they're required to do Windows 10. And the reason we don't is if we do your BIOS update to secure your computer, great, you're secure. Isn't that awesome? You didn't really know you were at risk before. So what did you gain? You're secure, more secure, that's for sure. But what did you gain? The consequence of us installing that driver, let's say you bring it in for a maintenance check because you want to get your computer to speed up a little bit. So you ask us to install this thing. So we bring it on the bench, we install it, you're more secure, but you're 40% slower than you were. And that's not an exaggeration, 40% slower. And you get your computer back and you're like, it's slower than it was when I brought it in. What the heck did you guys do to it? Well, we made it secure. So if we do have to do a BIOS update like that, that's going to slow the computer down. We also want to make sure, I don't know why the color's going crazy on my screen here, but we want to make sure that we do something to offset that slowdown, like upgrade you to a solid state hard drive. That will offset that slowdown, so when you get the computer back, you have a net speed gain. So anyway, that's the long and the short of it. So all those things, these drivers, we're going to check for that during the maintenance checkup that we do. We're going to make sure that all that hardware is installed. There was one article I did not get to, how to speed up your own computer. What hardware changes can you make to speed up your computer? There are 3 things that you can really do to speed up your computer. In order of importance, number 1, by far, first one you should spend any money on is a solid state hard drive upgrade. By far, bar none, that will get you the greatest bang for your buck in computer speed. We can clone your hard drive for you so nothing changes. We don't have to reinstall everything. We'll clone it. So that way when you get your computer back, it looks, acts, and feels exactly as it did before, except it's 10 times faster than it was before. There are very limited situations, especially on older computers that are 8 or 9 years old, where we can't clone. We have to do what's called a backup wipe and install. It doesn't cost you any more money. It's just you have to reinstall the programs, and of course we'll help you do that. Number 2 on the list is a memory upgrade. Now, hard drive is like the filing cabinet in your computer. That's what the solid state drive is. Memory upgrade is how many things your computer can do at once. So I tell customers to think of it like the surface of a desk. You have a desk in your home, and if you have a 1 square foot desk, you can do 1 piece of paper at a time. If you have an 8 square foot desk, you can spread things out and get more done at once, and you'll have less or more efficient multitasking. One piece of paper, you have to pick it up, you have to put it in the drawer, you have to take out another piece, or you have lots of pieces you have to shuffle. You can spread things out, you're a lot more efficient. Memory lets you spread things out in your computer. To run Windows 10, you got to have 2 gigs of RAM. If you have 2 gigs of RAM, you're having a terrible experience. Nobody has 2 gigs of RAM. Most people on entry-level computers are going to start with 4 gigabytes of memory. So you have 4 gigs of RAM in the computer, it's going to run pretty well. It'll run way better with 8 gigs of RAM. So if you're going to go from 4 to 8, that's usually an upgrade that's worth doing. If you want to go from 8 to 12 or 16 or 32, you can do that. The benefits, though, are diminishing over. The higher you go, the smaller the net gain is. And the reason for that is unless you're doing something really powerfully performing with your computer, like a radio show, I need 16 gigs of RAM to do what I'm doing here. 4 gigs of RAM wouldn't cut it. That's why the loaner laptop just wouldn't cut it. Because they're not nice laptops. We want to get them back. If we give away a nice laptop as a loaner, people just don't come back for their laptop. It's like a trade-in deal or something. All right. And the third one here. Okay. We got the hard drive. We got the memory. Oh, the third one is to actually change out your processor in the computer. You can do this on desktop computers, but you can't do this in laptops. In a desktop computer, we can change out the brain, which is a major upgrade. It can net you ridiculous speed increases depending on what you're going from and what you're going to. So it just depends. And every situation is a different price quote. All right. McAfee is buying a company called Nanosec. It's a security startup company. They're going to use that to bolster their mVision Cloud and mVision Server protection products. What this is it's their answer to Symantec's cloud protection. They don't have anything that can compete with Endpoint right now. And as a result, they had to buy a company to integrate their technology to have something that will compete. So if you're running McAfee right now, I would recommend not. This is not going to get integrated in the next year. When people come into the shop and say, I'm running McAfee antivirus, we ask them if they want to authorize a virus removal then, or do they want us to scan the computer first? And we won't do it if you don't need it, but you're going to need it. It's that bad. So it's like running WebRoot or running Secure IT. It's just not good. Or Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes is great for scanning occasionally. It's not good antivirus software, unfortunately. All right, so going down the list here. Yes, the parking in front of the door, lovely Kimberly, is awesome. In fact, there's apartment complexes all around us, so we're going to be like the neighborhood computer shop for all these apartment complexes, but they all have underground parking. So that means the parking spots in front of our door are full. At our current location, we have to fight the employees from Red Robin who are told not to park in the Red Robin parking lot because that's for customers. So they come across the street and they park in our parking lot, literally right in front of our door. And we've talked to them and talked to them and talked to them, and they get new people, and the new people don't know. They get new management, the new management doesn't know, and then it gets fixed for a week, and then it's bad again. Teriyaki Madness is next door to us. I'm not a big teriyaki eater, but the smell of constant teriyaki food being made, it seeps through the walls, it permeates everything. We will not miss the smell of teriyaki. I'm totally down with teriyaki. You know, I used to work as a manager at Valentino's for years, and you know, I'm just now to the point where I can eat pizza again from Valentino's because I ate so much Valentino's pizza for so long. It's good pizza. It's just I was burnt out on it, you know. Let's see, what else do we got here? My son asked when you were going to start talking about computers. I told him to keep listening. He just loves telling stories. Okay, well, it's the AfterSchrock. When am I going to start talking about computers? When is this man going to talk about computers? Oh, that's hilarious. So yeah, so we it's a fine line, guys. I try. It's a balance because we have to be entertaining. If we're not nobody wants to listen to a show about computers. If you did, you'd be listening to Kim Commando. Honestly, I don't know why my nose is so itchy. I'm trying not to mess with it, but man, it's itching like mad. Kim Commando's show isn't bad. It's just, in my opinion, it's boring. Like, we're going to tell you how many megapixels come in this digital camera, the best digital camera for your family summer fun coming up next. Because I know, I've done enough radio now that I know that every single product she talks about is placed. Some company is paying her to talk about those products. She's not recommending them. She may recommend them because she believes they're the best and she's getting paid. So in other words, she's not going to recommend garbage, but she's still getting paid to recommend the stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. Paid placement is fine. But you notice that she has callers on her show, but she never drops a phone number. What's the phone number to call Kim Commando? You can't. There's something on her website that you can enter to record your question, I guess, but you don't talk to Kim Commando. So when you hear Kim Commando interacting with people on a phone call, I'm always curious how she does that. Does she call them back? Like leave a voicemail and Kim Commando will call you back, and then she records that call and then slices that into the show. She doesn't do her show live. It's all pre-recorded. So, we could do a show like that, but that's how Kim Commando does her shows. We want to have a little more entertainment, a little more fun, make you laugh a little bit, keep you listening. We have to be informative, though. We have to deliver information that's going to help you in your computer life. I want calls because the calls are the people who have the real questions that real people want answers to. So that helps keep my feet grounded so I don't start talking about how to find out if your processor is impacted by the Spectre or Meltdown vulnerability coming up next. Oh yeah, there's a utility that you can run that will say whether you need to do a BIOS update, whether you need to do a driver update, or whether you need to do a Windows update, and then make sure you run it again after you're done to make sure that you're protected from the Spectre and Meltdown virus. By the way, if nobody released a BIOS update for your computer because it's too old, you're just screwed. Have a great day. Entertaining, maybe, I don't know, informative, possibly. No one's going to go home and do that. I can't even get people to go home and change their default router password, or to install Endpoint or get some antivirus on their computers and their phones. Literally, oh my gosh, we had a customer that came into the Lincoln Service Center. We're installing Semantic Endpoint on her phone, which is a security product designed to keep her safe. One of the things that you should absolutely have on your phone is some method of locking it so that if you lose your phone, some strange person doesn't just pick it up and get access to everything like your bank account and everything else. So your phone should have a facial recognition code, an iris scan code, a locking pattern or a PIN number or some kind of code, some way of locking it down so that a stranger can't pick up your phone and get that, right? So when we install Endpoint on your phone, Endpoint says you must have that. That's like basic security, basic entry-level security. This customer's like, I don't want that. We're like, that's like saying I want to secure my house, but I'm not going to let you put a lock on the door. We got to put a lock on the door. I don't want to have to carry a key. We can make the key biometric for you, so all you have to do is look at the phone. I don't want to look at the phone. We can set up a PIN number. I don't want to put a PIN number in. That's too much work. Just take it off my phone. So we did. We refunded her money and took it off her phone because if you're not willing to do the basic step of like having a lock on your front door, no security system is going to guarantee anything because you're not locked down. So anyway, I mean, we get questions like that in the shop. And we answer and we give you options. Your option is go unprotected. You can have an iris code, a facial scan, a fingerprint scan, a PIN number, or a pattern. Those are all things you can do. And then the other thing is, once you have this set up, I'm looking for my phone here. Once we have it set up, my phone, when I go to open it, wow, look at that. I just opened it up, and it just opened it. I didn't have to enter a PIN or do a code or have it scan my face or anything. It opened right up because it's in proximity to my watch. So I have set up the secure unlock so that when my phone is near my watch, it just unlocks because it's near me. I also set it up with my truck. When my phone is near my truck, it'll just unlock because it's with me. I don't want to have to enter a PIN number if I have to. Not that I would ever pick up my phone while I'm driving. Never, never. Not safe. But if there was a 911 emergency while I was driving that I had to call 911 while I was driving, you see, I don't want to have to enter a PIN number or trace a pattern on the screen or take my eyes off the road. I just want my dang phone to unlock. Do it. My earbuds. When I'm running on the treadmill, I don't want to have to type a code into my phone because I'm bouncing because it's a lot of mass to bounce around when I'm running, okay? I'm working on it. But I don't want to have to do that. So when my earbuds are nearby, my phone unlocks. So we could set all that up for you, ma'am. We could make it as transparent as possible, but you've got to have security. She didn't want to do it. So our job is to give you options, and we can tell you which option is probably the best one, but it's your job to pick the one that's right for you. And sometimes the one that's right for you is not the one that we would think would be right for you. So it is what it is. All right, thanks for the answer earlier. Fortunately, I haven't been using Internet Explorer. Thought Chrome, Google not as good as Google plain. Better to use Chrome. All right, so Google makes a search engine called Google, or it's actually Alphabet is the name of the company now. Alphabet makes Google the search engine, and Alphabet makes a browser called Google Chrome. So Google Chrome is different from the Google search engine. You can use Firefox and search for stuff on Google. You can use Google Chrome and search for stuff on Google. The question of which one you want to use is really up to you. I prefer Firefox because it's got a little bit of a privacy edge. Not that I'm doing anything on it that I'm too worried about, but all the same, there's no reason for me to give the keys to the kingdom to Google, at least, make them work for it. But I do have Chrome. I'm using Chrome right now to stream this show because Chrome works. Every developer uses Chrome on their computer. So whenever a developer makes a piece of software to run in a computer, the first thing they do is they test it in Chrome. It's going to work perfectly in Chrome. Then once it works perfectly in Chrome, they go see if it works in other things. So if you ever have a piece of software that doesn't work right, that's web-based, try it in Chrome. I don't know what all these state and federal employees are going to do when Internet Explorer is finally removed from IE or from Windows 10. Lord, I hope soon. All right, love the stories too. I learned a lot from those too. They're like the right concrete. That's right. In fact, there was a company out of Beatrice that poured that concrete pad, and we're the second place to grind that floor down and have that exposed. And there's rumors that there might be a lawsuit now against the company. I don't know if it's the developer suing the company that poured the concrete or if it's individual businesses like me that are supposed to sue the company that poured the concrete, because we're going to have ongoing expenses on our floors, annual flooring expenses, shut down business time, taking the toilet up, taking the trim off the wall. It's going to be every year, and it's going to be a nightmare. And the floor is not smooth now, so how do you even apply wax to that floor? Can you? Yeah. Many painless maintenance checkups. Many compliments to your crew. Hey, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it. Make sure, if you guys haven't done so already, all 3 service centers are actually like zeroed out on work right now. We got everything cleared out. It's starting to pick back up. So it was kind of we thought it'd be easy. We cut some staff, and then the guys were working like late into the evening to get everything cleared out so that today when computers come in for maintenance checkups, we can have good turnaround times. So the preventative maintenance checkups are half off. They're $49.99. But you can drop your computer off at any of the 3 service centers. If you want to drop it off in the current Lincoln Service Center at 27th and Pine Lake Road, just keep in mind you will be picking it up at the new location at 7501 South 15th, about a mile away. There's a map and instructions and everything on the door, and when we call you, of course, we'll tell you how to get there. We've also already updated the address information in Google, so funny story. I hesitate to share this one. All right, so not every Schrock technician is born a Schrock technician. As I've mentioned before, especially in Lincoln, technicians are kind of hard to come by, trained technicians. You usually have to make your own technicians. And so we have several phases for this. We have a probationary period of 90 days, then we have a junior technician role, and then that junior technician can become a senior technician. So there are people who are good enough to get out of the 90-day probationary period that need a lot of spit and polish in the junior technician period, okay? I'm not going to name names, that's not the point of this, but it's a funny story. So we send one of our junior technicians on site to do a pickup, right? He doesn't have to do anything, he just has to go pick up the computer and bring it back to the store, right? So he leaves 2801 Pine Lake Road, our current location. And in his GPS, he gets his phone and he's like, Google, take me to customer address. And it takes him there, right? So while he's on site, I call Mark over at Schrock Interactive because I've been forgetting to do this. I'm like, Mark, on Monday we're going to be in the new location. Please update all of the social media profiles and all of like the Google and the Bing and everything else. Our new address is 7501 South 15th Suite G. Okay, so he does that, right? So then this technician gets done at the customer, picks up their computer, puts it in the car. And he's kind of new to Lincoln, so he's only been in Lincoln for about 4 months, but he just drove from the shop to the customer's house, right? So now he has to go from the customer's house back to the shop with the computer. So he takes out his GPS. You see where this is going, right? And he says, take me from my current location to Schrock Innovations Lincoln. And so Schrock, the address for Schrock Innovations Lincoln has since changed. So it takes him back to the new shop, and he doesn't realize he's going to the wrong place till he pulls up in front of it, and he's like, oh. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So then he's like, well, now I got to figure out how to get back to the old shop without having the GPS. Go to Pine Lake Road and turn right. That's it. If you're coming from our old shop to the new shop, it's a little more complicated. You go down Pine Lake Road and you turn left. It's tough. The signs are huge on the building. You'll see them. But I'm just like, oh my gosh. This is the guy that asked one of my managers for advice because he has trouble adulting. Yeah. I'm imagining going back in time 30 years and looking at a grown-up and saying, I'm really having trouble with this adulting. And I'm just going to have some adults just going to look at me and say, I didn't even know you were married. I mean, aren't you a little young to be married? You know, people just didn't say stuff like that. Like, adulting? Adulting is a verb. Adulting is a verb. Okay. Okay, what do I think of the AVG Secure Browser? I honestly have never used it because AVG Secure Browser is a component of AVG. So if you're using the AVG security solution, AVG is nowhere near as good as Semantic Endpoint. Nowhere near as good. But if you can't afford Semantic Endpoint and AVG is free, use AVG. It's free. It's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. I don't want a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, but it's better than that. So use it. So if you're happy using the AVG Secure Browser, go for it. I've never used it myself. I'm not aware of anyone who's reviewed it. My guess is it's probably just an open source Chromium browser with an AVG add-on. So there's Chromium and then there's Chrome. So Google Chrome is, or let me start with Chromium. Chromium is an open source browser created by Google that anybody can use in any device. When you get a new phone and you click the internet globe, that's Chromium. It'll look and act like Chrome, kind of. It's the same engine as Chrome, but it's without all the Google spy garbage in it. Google Chrome is a modified Chromium. Anybody can modify Chromium and make their own browser. So my guess is AVG has modified Chromium to make their own browser with a browser add-on or an extension that has given some level of security improvement. So in other words, it's probably no different than using Chrome with AVG. Probably the same thing. All righty. No problem. Hey, Jennifer, how are you doing? Hey, we do have listeners, Jennifer, that are listening on WHO in Des Moines. And I know you have a big foundation golf outing coming up. If you want to post a link to that, it's the JBR Foundation. A lot of people have been touched by suicide of family members or loved ones in their lives. Just a few months ago, one of my mentors, Kobe Mack, took his life, just out of left field. Nobody saw it coming, and it leaves a hole, and it's unless you have it happen to you, you don't know that. And there's some people who've lost family members. I had a couple in the Lincoln Service Center. They were on the cover of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Their son lost his life to suicide, and they were able to donate his organs, basically. And there's a little girl somewhere that got an organ from that, and she's alive today. And they keep in touch, and it's like they took what's an unspeakable tragedy and used it to save someone's life. It was an amazing story. So the JBR Foundation is a foundation that is dedicated to helping families, to prevent suicide, and then helping families that are dealing with that situation after it happens. And they have a big golf outing coming up. It's in Iowa. So if you want to go to it, it's a great cause. So Jennifer, if you want to, go ahead and post a link here. Let me scroll down. Maybe you already did. There you go. Awesome. The JBR Foundation. Go ahead and guys visit that. It's a worthwhile cause, a worthwhile charity. Again, the whole foundation is Jennifer taking an unspeakable tragedy and turning it into a blessing for somebody else. So it's a really great cause. So anyway, all right. Any last questions before we hang up the line here and head out for the day? I've got a service center to build. I got monitors to mount on the walls. I got all kinds of stuff to get done. So nothing is worse, guys. Mounting a TV on the wall is one thing, right? So you mount the TV on the wall. Now imagine you're mounting 16 TVs on the wall, and you want them, when you look down the line of TVs, to all be exactly the same space apart. But the TVs are different widths. Because some of them are higher resolution TVs and some of them are lower resolution TVs, because some people's computers have higher resolution graphics cards and some people's computers don't. Yeah, we got to make that look good. That's going to be fun. So yeah, we'll be doing that over at the service center. So anyway, maintenance checkup, you can bring your computer in or you can purchase a certificate at SchrockInnovations.com. Let me get a link here real quick for you to make life easy. It is SchrockInnovations.com, and you click on shop and then specials. So we'll go to shop and we'll go to specials. See, it's that easy, guys. Look at this amazingly fast Amazon CDN. Speaking of which, those of you, if any of you are business owners out there that run your own website using WordPress, it's really, really important that you stay up to date and current on your WordPress installs. Because WordPress is going to start automatically updating them for you if you don't do it. Now, why is that a big deal? Most people who don't update their WordPress installs don't update them because there's something in them that would break if they updated them. And they don't want to pay somebody to fix what's broken, so they just stay with the old outdated WordPress. WordPress powers 1/3 of all of the websites on the internet. So as a result, it gets attacked a lot. If you have an outdated browser or an outdated WordPress install running your website, you're going to get to the point where you're going to get hacked. If you haven't been hacked already, you may not even know you're hacked. And you might have pages on your site that you don't even know exist for, pills and porn and Russian girls and all kinds of stuff. One client that we ended up bringing on board as a client, they got hacked by the Turkish hacking group. It was the League of Human Dignity, and they got hacked by the Turkish hacking group. So now they're with us, and we quarterly do all the updates, make sure everything is current, make sure everything works and gets fixed so it works well. It's important to keep that stuff up to date. So if you do have a website, guys, make sure you get that updated if you use WordPress. If you don't have a website hosting company or someone to help you with this, and you're looking for someone, Schrock Interactive, this is what we do. So we can definitely help you with that. We have the time, we have the manpower, and the expertise to make sure that your website stays secure and stays up. Because what good is a website when people can't get to it? All right, guys. So here's a quick link for the preventative maintenance certificate. If you want to go buy one of those or more, depending on how many you need for computers, you can click on that. Funny story, the guy in this picture here, he's no longer with Schrock. He hasn't been with us for like a couple of years, but we still use his profile. It's kind of funny, He'll probably be 40 someday, and we'll use the same picture for the maintenance checkup. He's actually doing a maintenance checkup. All right, so any other questions before we hang it up, guys? Just let me know. Otherwise, I will probably be doing a Facebook Live sometime this week. We're not going to have TV this month. We backed off all the TV in August just because there's so much going on. So we're going to back off the TV in August. Preventative maintenance checkups are going on right now. And yeah, you can buy your certificates online. You can bring the computers into the service center. We have bench spots open and available. I am giving radio listeners first pick this time. We have not sent an email yet. We have not posted about it and boosted it on Facebook yet. So radio listeners, this is the time. You never get to go first. So this time you get to go first. If you want to bring it in, you're going to get the choicest turnaround times because you're going to be the first ones up on the bench. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Sunday and have a great weekend.